Hello, good morning, everyone, especially to you, sir. I hope we're all doing well and staying safe despite the recent unexpected events. So, even though we've faced challenges, our learning continues and we move forward with dedication and positivity. So, as Ms. Galliard has previously introduced, our main topic for this unit is the ecological dimension of globalization. And she already discussed the first lesson, which focused on globalization and the environment, exploring how global activities impact our planet's ecosystems. Now, let us proceed to the next lesson, which will center on the drivers of environmental issues. In this part, we will identify the key factors contributing to environmental problems and understand how globalization influences these challenges on a global scale. Environmental issues are the products of the different unsustainable human activities that have aggravated the condition of the global environment in the later part of the 20th century. Now, it's important to realize that environmental issues are not mysterious natural occurrences. They are the products of human activity. In the later half of the 20th century, global patterns of production, consumption, and resource extraction intensified dramatically. When we clear forests for farmland, burn fossil fuels to power industry and vehicles, or produce and discard goods faster than nature can recover, we create pollution, biodiversity loss, and climate change. In short, these problems are the cumulative result of unsustainable human actions scaled up by globalization. Now, driven by such development, the members of the international community started to take concrete actions and began engaging other institutions in order to contain the declining condition of the global environment. Now, the latest iteration in their actions of preserving the global environment was the signing of the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, in 2015 that sought to build on what the Millennium Development Goals, or the MDGs, has achieved. Now, among the 17 target goals, the United Nations Development Programme, or the UNDP, has set its sight on seven critical areas that relate to protecting the global environment. These critical areas are comprised of clean water, sustainable cities, affordable energy, responsible consumption and production, climate action, and life on land and in water. As the members of the international community work to achieve these goals, they need to contend with the existing human activities that continuously ignore the conditions of the global environment. These unsustainable human activities are sometimes called drivers of environmental issues that bring more harm than good if not handled appropriately to the global environment. The United Nations Development Programme identifies key drivers of environmental issues, and these are first, demographic change, followed by the economic growth, then technological innovation, and lastly, the governance framework. Now, demographic change is considered by the United Nations Development Programme, or the UNDP, as one of the prominent factors behind the different environmental issues that place tremendous pressure on the global environment through excessive demands for food, water, and energy sources. The current global population, according to the UNDP, is nowhere near the total number of the human population back in the 20th century. From a high of 5 billion people in 1987, the global population has increased to a total of 7.5 billion people in 2018. The global population is projected to reach 10 billion people in 2050, and this number is certain to affect the manner and how the people will produce and consume the world's supply of food, water, and energy in the future. More people means more mouths to feed, more homes to build, more energy to provide, and more ways to manage. Now, economic growth is another important factor that greatly affects the environment. It is usually measured through gross domestic product, or GDP, which tells us the value of all goods and services produced in a country within a certain period of time. The GDP is often used to see if a country's economy is improving or not. Over the past 2 decades, many countries have experienced steady economic growth, with the UNDP reporting an average growth rate of 1.7% each year. This growth has continued into the present, although it is sometimes interrupted by financial crises or other global challenges. Now, while economic growth has many benefits, such as providing jobs and improving living standards, it also creates serious environmental problems. For example, the rapid expansion of cities has resulted in huge amounts of waste, which has become a major concern for governments around the world. More vehicles on the road and more factories producing goods have also caused air and water pollution, making it harder for people and nature to stay healthy. Another consequence is the loss of biodiversity, as forests, rivers, and seas are disrupted by the construction of large projects like dams, highways, water parks, and even artificial islands. Lastly, as cities continue to grow, space for housing becomes more limited. Many people now live in small apartments or condominiums that restrict movement and make living conditions more crowded. In short, while economic growth helps societies move forward, it can also harm the environment when not managed properly. The challenge is to find ways to balance progress with sustainability so that people can enjoy better lives without destroying the natural resources that future generations will need. Now, technology has always been a powerful force that can bring both benefits and problems to society. On the positive side, technological innovations have made communication much easier and faster. Because of the internet, social media, and mobile technology, people can now connect with anyone around the world in just a few seconds. Technology has also improved the quality of life through medical discoveries, advanced treatments, and digital tools that make daily tasks more convenient. It has also opened new opportunities for learning, such as online classes and digital platforms that help students and professionals access information anytime and anywhere. However, technology also has a negative side, especially when it is not controlled or used responsibly. A clear example is the atomic bomb during the World War II, which caused massive destruction in Japan and in long-term damage to the environment. Another example is the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, where a nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded and released dangerous radiation that affected not only the country but also other parts of Europe. More recently, the Fukushima nuclear disaster in 2011 in Japan showed how technology can sometimes fail and lead to serious harm to people and the environment. Now, these examples remind us that while technology can greatly improve our lives, it can also carry risks when not properly regulated. Unchecked technological growth can introduce untested inventions that may harm the planet. This is why governments, scientists, and communities need to make sure that technology is developed and used responsibly so that its benefits can be enjoyed without causing harm to people or the environment. Now, governance plays a very important role in addressing environmental issues. A strong governance framework means that the government has clear policies, effective enforcement, and transparent systems that protect both people and the environment. However, when governance is weak or when corruption is present, environmental laws are often not strictly followed. This allows industries or individuals to exploit natural resources in unsustainable ways, such as illegal logging, mining, or waste dumping. Weak governance can also delay important projects that are meant to solve environmental problems, making communities more vulnerable. A timely example in the Philippines is the government's flood control programs. Every year, many parts of the country experience heavy flooding, especially during the rainy season and typhoons. While there are flood control projects such as drainage systems, river widening, and pumping stations, these efforts are sometimes affected by issues like corruption, poor planning, or slow implementation. For instance, there are reports of projects being left unfinished or poorly constructed, which makes them less effective during strong floods. This shows how weak governance can directly affect the safety and resilience of communities. Because environmental issues like flooding, climate change, and ocean pollution often cross local and even national borders, global cooperation is also necessary. Problems such as rising sea levels, marine plastic pollution, and changing weather patterns cannot be solved by one country alone. International agreements and cooperation among nations are needed in order to create stronger policies, share resources, and ensure that sustainable practices are followed worldwide. So, overall, environmental issues are mainly the result of human activities that have been intensified by globalization, such as rapid population growth, uncontrolled economic expansion, unchecked technological innovations, and weak governance. While these drivers have brought development and opportunities, they have also created serious challenges like pollution, waste, biodiversity loss, and climate risks. To address these problems, strong governance, responsible use of technology, balanced economic growth, and local cooperation are necessary. The future of our environment depends on how well we manage these drivers today to ensure a sustainable and livable world for future generations. So, that concludes my report on the drivers of environmental issues, everyone. I hope you gained new insights into how globalization affects our environment and how human actions drive many of the ecological challenges we face today. Now, let us all be reminded that small changes in our lifestyle can make a big difference for the planet. Thank you so much for listening, and may we continue to be responsible global citizens who care for our environment. Thank you, everyone.